Hi, this is Jeff White from White's Winter Wonderland. I just wanted to give you a little bit of a behind-the-scenes tour of what makes our show happen and how it works, and hopefully entice some of y'all out there who might not have ever seen a computerized display like this, at least the back portions of it, what it kind of goes on behind the scenes and how we set everything up and how this happens. So anyways, just to get started, we use Lightorama equipment. Currently we're using the 16-channel residential controllers. Each device is capable of handling up to 30 amps of power running through it, going across the 16 channels. We have 4 of those controllers running, and this is all based upon part of the software that's provided with the Lightorama tools. The sequencing editor provides us the ability to go through and modify how the lights turn on and off throughout the song. So as you can see, for all the different effects that we have and all of the various fixtures and props that are within the yard and the display itself, we sit here and go through the motions and program up the sequence of the lights to the music. Roughly for me, I'm kind of a perfectionist on some of this stuff. It takes anywhere between 8 to 10 hours per minute of audio, depending upon what we're doing. A lot of the stuff that we've been doing over the past couple of years, I've been able to reuse the sequences from and just tweak them with minor updates as we add more fixtures and props to the display. But that's just part of it here at White's Winter Wonderland. This is a new rig that I've got set up that contains the Lightorama software, and that's connected via a serial interface over to the controller boxes. After hours, or in between the shows, we run a constant radio stream that goes across within using a close proximity FM transmitter. It'll transmit about 200 milliwatts. It's a mobile black box device. We have it configured and have an antenna set up here in the garage, and it goes out and sends the signal out to the cars. So as you drive by the display, you can hear the music. After hours, we use a program called Radio Boss, and it provides a radio interface. This is really nice for me, especially because I'm a Christmas music freak. I'm one of those strange people out there that likes to listen to Christmas music year-round. So I sit here and I can let my playlist run, and I can listen to it in my house even, or on my Walkman, my stereo, whatever. Any place that I'm in close proximity to the house. So that helps out quite a bit in how we do things around here, and it gives me a little bit of the Christmas spirit, especially throughout the season here. So just a standard rig. I run just an HP slimline desktop PC running Windows 10, nothing fancy about it. I have an old Iowa mini theater that goes up and feeds 2 speakers that we place outside during special nights during the season. Everything is backed up on a nightly scheme, backs up to an external hard drive, and then across my network to a network attached storage device as well. So I've got actually a triplicate backup system running just to make sure that everything runs okay. And if necessary, I have my old Lightorama PC down there just as a secondary backup in case something crashes on that one. So just a brief tour of that. We'll walk over here and check out the controller boxes so you can see what one of those looks like here in a second. This is our first bank of controllers that we have. I've actually split the load off. We had some additional power dropped in this past year, so I've been able to divvy up the controller boxes. This is boxes 1 and 2, and as you can see, the internal electronics of it feeds in RS-485 across Cat5 Ethernet cables. That's coming from the computer that we just looked at. And then down below you can see the pigtails coming off that distribute the power to all the places around the house and the various fixtures and props that we have out there. So yeah, it looks like a mess and a fire hazard, but it's all kind of neat. And we've done a little bit better cable management this year. Been able to kind of route things a little bit differently and bring them across, and you'll see a little bit more of that here in the next couple of shots that we take. It's It's time consuming to run the extension cords. We run currently close to 5 miles of extension cords are running for the whole display. So it doesn't look like a lot from the outside, but when you're running 50-foot runs multiple times all across the yard for each and every individual fixture, it gets to be pretty hectic sometimes. This is our second set of boxes that we have over here, where I was able to have some additional power dropped in back there towards the back of the house. We actually came off of the tapped off of the water pump circuit and brought over an additional 20 amps over to here. Just put an in-use cover on it and an outdoor rated receptacle. Always recommend to have certified electricians do that kind of work to make sure that everything's up to spec and up to code. But as you can see, this one over here, this actually feeds off and controls through the long line of cords there, the 15 spiral trees. Unfortunately, one of them got blown over just a few seconds ago, and my arches out front. So you can see that that's kind of going through there. Just another mess of cords, but it all comes together. Speaking of cable management this year, we tried a little something different. Previously, I had a ton of cords that were routing down and around and creating a mess, almost a trip hazard per se, that was a pain to keep up with and to make sure that it was all stayed down nice and tight. So this year I went out to the Dollar Tree and I found these little metal hooks that are there for $1 for a 5-pack, I believe, and they worked out great just to kind of tack the cords up and run them. And you can see the white cord there, that's my Ethernet cable that's running over to the other controller box, but the rest of them are just extension cords that are run up there. What you see up here is where I've kind of chained off. We use a lot of the little 6-foot cords that you can get at the Dollar Tree for $1 a piece, just to do these little short runs for various little items like this. Seems to work out pretty good. Most of our fixtures now are LED, so we're not overdriving anything, and I'm always very cautious about not overloading any of these cords to 80% of their max rating. So one of the newer features that we added this year were these balls. They're 100 lights each, and they're incandescent, and to kind of fix them into the positions that I needed to and keep them in the power calculations correctly, because we were running pretty tight on the power, even though I'm running across 3 circuits. Still quite a bit of incandescent lights that I'm using, so these were definitely a challenge to add into the display this year. They look really nice. I've got 7 of them going across the garage, and then an additional 2 out in front of the house. For each of the windows, we took and created little frames out of furring strips. This turned out to be kind of a neat little project, very time consuming, but it worked out great in the end, and I think it gives a nice clean look and feel to the whole display. Did this around the garage. Each window, I've got 5 windows here in the front of the house, and then I've got 4 on the side of the garage, and built frames for each one of them. They started off with just red lights, and if you look really closely here, you can see the way that the red lights are connected in. And then using these clips that I got at Walmart, I kind of created another little socket there to set the white strands in, so I can run dual channels on each one of these fixtures and give the red and white lights a chance to flash and blink at my command. For our arches are kind of rudimentary. There's nothing fancy to them at all. We're not cool like some of the other folks that are using RGBs to do their stuff. We're still running incandescents, but it gives a nice clean effect, and people seem to like it, so we're going to keep them going like this. But it's just a standard set of PVC, standard piece of PVC, Schedule 40. I think this is a 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, or 1/2 inch on this one. And we just wrap 100 incandescent lights around. I've got 5 segments, so it creates the jump. And what I've done is I've gone to 10 channels for my arches. So arch 1 runs channels 1 through 5, arch 2 runs channels 6 through 10, and then each one of these is duplicated down the way. So it gives the appearance, we've got 10 of them here in this daisy chain, and it gives the appearance that everything is all nice, neatly tied together. If you come over here to this side, This is actually our Tune To sign. We're going to have to do some work on it after this year. Some of the lights are starting to go a little dim on it, but what it is, it's just pegboard, plastic pegboard picked up at Home Depot with a yard sale sign. And then if you move around to the back, you can see the mess of lights, and all that it does is tell everybody to tune to 95.3, which is the radio station that we broadcast on. This thing has lasted about almost 4 seasons now, so everything's I'm pretty impressed and happy with it so far. I think it was a neat little idea that we were able to come up with, and it works out pretty good. So we're going to make a few minor adjustments to it, change out the lights for next season, and then we'll be back at it again. Over the years, we've kind of looked at a lot of forums and a lot of pages on the internet and tried to come up with ways that we can create things, and a couple of the ideas brought about the tomato cage trees. And I know many of us here in the lighting community, we've seen these before. We took 2 tomato cages, kind of rounded out the form a little bit, cut the ends off, which actually we used the legs down at the bottom, and actually take those, cut them off with a Dremel, and then I can bend them and I actually make lawn stakes for certain fixtures and props. Works out pretty great. We've been able to pack on, I think each one of these trees is about 1,200 lights, red, green, blue, and white lights all around it, 300 of each. So these little mini trees are about 3 footers, and we've been using these for several years now with no problems whatsoever. Storing them is a piece of cake. They're really neat and really inexpensive to make too. About 2 years ago or so, we found these snowflakes over at Target for about $25 a piece. And over the course of time, I was able to accumulate 8 of them. I had them sitting up on the roof, everything was looking pretty, but I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different. So actually my mother-in-law helped me zip tie all of these together and hang this, what I call like a snowflake snake. There's 7 of them in this succession. It goes all the way up to the eave there, and it provides us the ability to give it looking like a little bit of a snowfall going there. People seem to really like it, really enjoy it. It's something a little bit different, and something definitely that nobody else has in the neighborhood, just kind of our own little concoction there. So we seem to like it. I'm going to try to find out ways that I can expound on this a little bit better over the next couple of years. These here are little jump sticks. I didn't have them channelized out this year, but otherwise they're 5 feet tall, and pretty much it's made out of just a 4-inch PVC pipe with a toilet flange at the bottom to do the give it a little bit of grip there. And we run a piece of rebar into the ground, and I drilled a hole through that toilet flange and then let the rebar come up so it sits up in here. This one's leaning a little bit, kind of got loose from the ground just slightly, but I've got to figure out a better way to rig it up for next year. But what this is also ring gutter pipe that you can buy at Home Depot, cut into 1-foot sections, and then I just wrap the lights around. So at the end of the season, I can just disconnect the lights and then pull each one of the sections off and store that pretty easily in the garage there. So these are inexpensive to make, very quick and simple. I know they're not 10-footers and 20-footers like some people have, but for my display, these little 5-footers seem to work pretty good. The last thing that I wanted to kind of take a look at was the roof. We did something about 2 years ago that kind of changed up the look of it. We were running single channel for each color up on the roof, so the whole roof would light up red, the whole roof would light up white, the whole roof would light up blue, etc. About 2 years ago, we decided to change that up, and we segmented out. So we have going left to right channels like 1 through 4 in red, and then same thing for white and same thing for blue. So we can kind of do a sweep across the house. The icicles are still that you see are still on a single channel configuration. They're used mainly for certain sections of certain songs that we provide. It gives a nice appearance. It's really cool because each one of the windows is also channelized and the bushes are also channelized. So we can do a complete sweep left to right of the house, right to left. I could do top to bottom, coming from the roof to the windows to the bushes to the yard. go up the opposite direction, it really creates a nice little effect. All that we're using up there, the C9 LEDs are Home Depot. They're 35-foot strands, go for about, I think, $10 a strand out there. And each one of those things is hand clipped in using the clips that we get from Walmart. And then the icicles are just draped right across the clips there, right behind the C9s. So we've perfected this over the years as far as I'm concerned, as far as the power distribution and limiting the amount of power cords that are visible. Even during the daytime, we're trying to clean things up a little bit. But that's pretty much it from here, and we'll see y'all again next year. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.